you might have seen this next comic on HBO Silicon Valley. Please make it very loud for the very funny Jason Anderson. Here we go for Jim.
Who recognizes me from HBO Silicon Valley? I know. Yeah, I was in the back. Guys. I did my first movie recently too. I was in the movie Traffic, which none of you guys saw, because it opened the same weekend as The Avengers. Yeah, but I was pumped. It was like the first movie I did that was like in theaters. So I told people. I told my mom and my dad, told my neighbor. And then like opening weekend, I went to the theater. And like as I was walking out, my neighbor was walking in. I'm like, oh bro, you came. He's like, yeah man, we never missed The Avengers. And then like he remembered. He's like, oh wait, hey, your movie's this weekend. How was it? I was like, I don't know, man. I just saw The Avengers. I hear it's bad. I hear it's not a good movie. Yeah. So I'm a gay dude. I do gay dude things like dudes. Some of you heard of my work. Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm killing it. Yeah. I've been married for 10 years. Oh, everyone's single. No claps. All right. One clap for settling. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome, yeah. I'm at this like really cool point in my marriage where like me and my husband are in a car and like a Whitney Houston song comes on. We're gay. We'll like both sing along. But we've been together so long we both sing the wrong words. Yeah. No, it's adorable. It is. It's like a lot of I want to dance with somebody else. I want to feel the heat, guys. I want to feel the heat. I always feel like a mild level of pity when I tell my husband when I tell that. It's his favorite joke of mine. Yeah, he's doing this thing now, like we're driving one of his girlfriends around. Like he has that song on his iPod every day. So he'll like play that song. Oh, side note, we have straight women here? Straight women? Straight women? All right, give it up for, yeah. So I have a new thing, I have a new cause that I'm celebrating here. Stop inviting us to your baby showers. All right? Because number one, I'm going to beat you at every game. Yeah. I know it's a Snickers in that diaper. Yeah. What kind of a shower are we at? You say, baby, I got all your buttons. I'm going to win. Only win them after that. Yeah. Second reason, because I don't know, I kind of get why I get invited to baby showers, but also I feel like they're just being like, hey, you like dicks, right? This is dick related. You know? I'm a dick hipster, y'all. I like that dick stuff y'all ain't heard of yet. We'll catch up next season. You'll get that. Oh yeah, so my husband's doing this thing now. He has that song on his iPod, and most of his girlfriends haven't like heard me do stand-up. So he'll play like that Whitney Houston song, and we'll both start singing it, and then we get to the chorus, we'll both look at each other and say else, and we just don't say anything else the rest of the ride. No one's invited us to a baby shower in a while. It's been working. It's been working. Yeah, my husband's a bear. You guys know what bears are? Yeah. Who wooed to see y'all what a bear is? I was specific. You yell off what a bear is. I'll tell you, you don't know. Oh, okay, this is a fun thing. Big hairy guy. Yeah, big hairy guy, yeah. And it's weird, like every time I have to explain that to straight people, they always look at me like I'm that guy at the party that brings out his pet tarantula. How do you like that? And I'm like, it's fuzzy. It was weird. I grew up like late 90s, early 90s. I'm old. I grew up in the 90s, and if you grew up in the 90s, like there was a large portion of time where like parents knew more about technology than kids knew about technology. You know, it's like my dad knew like what search history was way before I knew what search history was. So I know there was a point in the 90s where I made my dad think to himself, God, I hope my daughter likes old fat dudes. I really hope my daughter is downloading these Mr. Belvedere pictures because she seems to be really into Al from Home Improvement. So I'm from Sacramento, and it doesn't matter how long you pause after you say Sacramento, no one's ever clapped. I've never had anyone in the world clap, even in Sacramento. It's never happened. We're a weird city because we're kind of like a big city and like a little city at the same time. You know, so like small town vibe, like a big city vibe. You know, I have a bunch of like family that live like in the boonies, like Redding, and like they come and visit me, and they think they're in the big city. They're like, Jason, what's the best thing to do in Sacramento? And I'm always like, we're really close to other places. You could leave. Tahoe's beautiful. There's so much to do, even in Oakland. right here. There it is, man. Sacramento gets to host one magical event every year. We get to host the state fair. that was a sad woo. That was not a drunk white lady woo. The state fair is weird. I've been going my whole life. I know if I walk into a state fair, I'm going to feel like I went to Disneyland, you know? But it's like a Disneyland that dropped out of high school, you know? And then I got a little too into meth. You know? So like too into meth to run the Tilt-A-Whirl. But if you've been to a fair, that's who runs the Tilt-A-Whirl. You know? Like every single time I've been. When I was a kid, my uncle, he was living with us and working at the state fair because he was a heroin addict. And that's where heroin addicts' uncles live, with you. Your couch. Yeah, so I got a lot of free tickets to the fair. I remember, like, as a 10-year-old, like, we would go to the fair to, like, people watch, because, like, before, like, Walmart existed, that's where those people existed, you know? So I'd, like, walk around the fair, and, like, oh, lady in a moo-moo walking her kid on a leash. Or I was walking with a buddy, and he elbowed me, he's like, dude, mullet, jean jacket, 10 o'clock. And I'm like, that's my uncle. That's... I remember I got home late from one night at the fair. I went to bed. My uncle got off work, and he like came into like my room to wake me up at like 1 a.m. He just like started shaking me. He was like, Jason, 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 do you want me to spin you around by your arms in the yard? I was like, yeah. I'm 10. That sounds dope. Let's do this. Let's do it. I can tell every time I tell that story, people are so glad that's how it ended. Could have gone worse. He was just a druggy uncle, not a touchy. He was a good one. I love little uncles, it's good. So I'm like one of the only like gay comics in Sacramento, which is kind of weird sometimes, like gay dudes at least. Because like I'm like a weird, like I don't have, I feel like I'm a bad gay dude, like I'm not like, I don't know, man, like I feel like a gay Uncle Tom, like an Aunt Tom sometimes, like I'm just fronting, you know, but people like look to me like when something happens. I was at this show and there was this comic on stage and like this guy in the audience was getting mad at him because he was telling Hitler jokes and not funny, and then the guy on stage like got angry back and he called him the F word. You know, the gay F word. And then everyone in the crowd looked at me, all these comics, like, oh man, what should we do? And I'm like, I've never been more turned on by that comic. Like, that was kind of weird. So I'll give you guys a choice. You want to hear a sad story or Jehovah's Witness story? Same story. It's the same. Overlapping topics, like the Venn diagram of stories right in the middle. Yeah. I was doing this show. Okay, so first of all, I grew up in like in an area of like it's kind of Rancho Cordova, Sacramento, where it's like primarily like Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses. Like those were basically all my friends growing up. But I still do that thing I think a lot of people do. Like you see like two Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses walk towards you, you just immediately start praying that they don't talk to you. Yeah. So I was doing this show at Vacaville, and they had me out front like handing out flyers. So I'm sitting there handing out flyers, and I see these two Jehovah's Witnesses. They're like walking right towards me. I start doing that, man. I start praying. Like, please, God, don't let them talk to me. And I'm sitting there praying, and that was when I realized that they, like, already won. It's like a really short con. That's all they want out of me. He's like, oh. So I'm having this epiphany, and the kid walked up, and he's like, you know, they were actually pretty cool. I talked to him for a minute, but, like, pretty swiftly, they tried to give me that pamphlet, the Awake pamphlet, and I politely declined. Then I realized, like, we were all out here doing street teamwork. You know what I mean? Like, we all got a flyer. So I'm like, well, hey, I'm doing a show. You guys want to check out some stand-up? And the kid was like, I was like, that was how I felt about your flyer, but I was a lot cooler, bro. Yeah, so I got like, my husband's kind of a country dude, so my mother-in-law is kind of like rough around the edges. And like she's good, like good, I love her, but like she's got reasons not to like me. Like I'm kind of like a nerdy guy. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I fuck her son. And like recently she got like a really good reason because I was at her house for Thanksgiving, and when we were leaving, I ran over her rose bush. Yeah, that matters. See, you know that matters, dude. So she was in the kitchen, and she comes running out of the kitchen, and she's holding a knife in her hand because she was just in the kitchen. And she's wearing a bathrobe because she lives in the country. And she just like comes screaming at me like a crazed goblin with a knife. Like, what would you do if a goblin was coming at you with a knife? What would you do? You'd run? You successfully ran away. That's a 19, bro. Like, I don't need to He got away. He got away. All right. All right. Oh, awesome. Awesome. So you guys ever been in like a Starbucks and you stand in line behind someone, you can tell from the back of their head that their Facebook profile picture is a Confederate flag? I was at this Starbucks, I was standing in line behind this dude, and like he's like kind of getting like hyphy, like kind of like white guy edge racist with the barista. You know, like you look how like a top 40s pop station says today's best hits without the rap. Like that's how racist he was getting. I get what you're laying down. And so he was like mad because he wanted a heated up croissant, but it was a Starbucks and a Safeway, so they don't have a heater. So like, eventually he gets so mad he grabs it and he says, "Fine, I'll eat it cold like an animal." And he starts storming out. And I'm like, that's my uncle. That's. Hey, you guys have been so much fun. Thank you so much.